Final hour for the week. Overdrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. I was just chatting with my partner, Al's brother. We're looking ahead to Week 17. We're so confident in the picks we made earlier this afternoon.
It's a dangerous game.
Well, listen, we're dangerous men. And Al's brother and I, we are currently on a heater of epic proportions. And we are trending towards one of the great comebacks in pro sports history. And we'll see what comes of it this weekend. Last night was a good pick, seeing the board clearly. We were on the Rams, and I hope you weren't on the Leafs in the under last night. That would have been quite the bet. I love the Leafs, and I love the under tonight. No, I don't think so. And they're in Columbus tomorrow, and our buddy Martin Biron will join us here in a few moments. We'll get Marty's take on the Buffalo side of things, among other things going on around the league. Where McDavid's down in the New York area. We had Ray on yesterday about how ESPN's really trying to pump it up, including tonight. They're at the Garden, right?
Yeah,
and
MSG.
McDavid's starting to hum. Like, he's starting to hum, and it's just a matter of whether or not their team can pull their weight, right? Can you get stops, and can they defend properly? Because this guy, it feels like a matter of time before he just blows past everybody else.
Well, so last night they come from behind to win that game, and I was sitting there like I'm watching it at the Annex, like waiting to do SC hits, and Jay goes to me before we're about to do the hits. He goes, "Yeah, the Oilers have had a hard time like coming from behind to win games," and I kind of paused for a second. I said, "Really? They like with all that firepower?" But I guess that's been one of the talking points out in Edmonton. It's like, you know, they're down and they can't really find a way back, and so they get it done last night, and they got some like Nugent Hopkins scores, McLeod scores, Draisaitl had an unbelievable backhand, but that Jersey team, like it feels like they got some issues defensively. Obviously, they don't have the goaltending, but for Edmonton, it's like a come-from-behind kind of season right now, and even with the predicament that they're going to be in on any given night where they could let in a few early, like it seems like they're going to have to play from behind a lot this year.
Well, if you look at, like, just go back just for fun, look at McDavid's goal last night. Vanacek was facing the wrong way in the net, like legitimately the wrong way. I text Ray and I said, "What the hell is going on there?" And they had a kid score the fifth goal. I can't remember his name. It was his first goal. Yeah,
Ernie
it wasn't
scored?
a kid. Sorry, it wasn't a kid. It was Adam Ernie scores his first goal. And if you look at Vanacek, he was 2 feet outside the net beside it. Like, you're like, what is going on? Like, New Jersey can't get a save when they need it. And they are a team that is kind of, I think, on the cusp, turning the corner. A lot of talent there. They miss Dougie Hamilton. Like, he's a big part of their, the power play and
top
helps
50
out.
player.
Yes, he is. Top 50 Dougie.
Player.
Yeah, we love top 50.
But, it comes back to, can you get a save? I got a stat the other day, and I don't want to it's still a work in progress from our analytics buddies, but it was very telling. And I thought it was unbelievable because they do with, Sport Logic and stuff, they do like games stolen. So if a guy Vasilevsky stole a game against the Oilers
Edmonton
the other
last
night.
Week,
yeah. But then they're working on a stat called games cost, where basically the goalie, if this gave you league average goaltending, you'd be fine. Like you'd win that game. And the list that I saw, the bottom 4 teams with games cost was the teams that have been struggling this season. Ottawa was in there. It was an ugly number of games cost.
Yep, their goaltending's been bad.
Carolina was in there.
Mm-hmm.
Edmonton was in there. And I've got to think of the other team. But it was the same situation. There was 4 teams in there where you're like, if they had league average goaltending, it might have been New Jersey.
Right.
You'd look at where they'd be in the standings.
Well, and yet they're still in the hunt, which speaks to it, right? That the team is good enough. It's that at times they simply need just league average goaltending for them to add a certain amount of goal points. Like you look at, when we haven't got into this yet, the Matthews goal last night, which was a really cool goal. That's a bad goal.
I thought it was a terrible goal.
Yeah, you
never go in.
You cannot let a goal in from the boards. It's an awful goal to give
It
up.
was a sneaky goal. Like goal
it was
scorers
a cool
make
play.
They make sneaky plays, but like from a goaltender's perspective, it was terrible.
No, you can't let that. That's like the worst angle on the ice. It was a terrible goal.
Right.
Yet again, 2 things can be true: really cool, really crafty, and sneaky, but awful. Like can't go in. And Like at that point, I'm like, oh, here we go. Like this is going to be 7-6.
Yeah.
And the Leafs even had a lead. Like it was a lead that is largely forgotten. Clearly,
I forgot they had a lead.
They
in
had
that
a
game.
2-1 lead.
2-1.
They were up 2-1.
Domi scored, right?
Yeah, 2-1 with Domi.
Yeah, that's right.
And then even Yarncroke, I believe, tied the game. I want to say was it 3-3? I think at that point
tied it shorthanded.
Did you?
maybe it was 4-3 at that point. But
did you end up seeing the stat about Kyle Yarncroke? How the last time the Leafs let in a 9 spot, it was against Nashville, and Yarncroke was playing that game, and he scored in that game for Nashville as well. So the last 2 9 spots for the Leafs, Yarncroke has scored a goal in both those games.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah,
that was Salute-Gate, right? That was in and around Salute-Gate when they lost big to Buffalo and then lost big to Nashville. Yeah. And then it was Salute-Gate, and then the wheels are falling off. I don't anticipate that'll happen with this team.
Salute-Gate? I forgot about that.
That was the 9. They lost 9-2 or whatever it was, and they got pumped by Buffalo too.
Yeah,
there's been a lot of gates. Yeah. There's been a lot of gates. We put gate on a lot of things, and a lot of times it's unnecessary. But last night was quite something, man. It was like the game before, Buffalo lost 9-4 to Columbus.
Right.
Like they got crushed by Columbus. And then they go out and hang 9 on the Leafs last night. And there's 1 million Leaf fans in the building, which had to be a bittersweet situation, right? Like it's a cool roadie. You're down there. You're watching an NHL game. Maybe you can't get tickets up here. And finally get to see the Leafs live, and they play like they did last night. Yeah. Tough one to explain. But a man that was in the building joins us now, our good buddy Martin Biron, TSN Hockey analyst. Any flashbacks last night for you, Marty?
Flashback to January 1, 2000 when we beat the Leafs 8-1 in Buffalo on the Y2K day. That was not a pretty one for the Leafs fans that were in the building that night too, but I enjoyed it. So that was like 24 years ago.
Yeah, it's all good for you. But that was something, man. We've been buzzing about it obviously up here all day, like the Ilya Samsonov stuff and how you react to bad goaltending. And Noodles has been referencing other teams throughout the league where, Jersey can't get off the mat, Edmonton at times can't get off the mat, Carolina. Like it's almost like we've got like a goaltending epidemic on our hands right now in the league.
Yeah, there's definitely some places where Carolina, without Freddie Anderson, they're struggling. There has definitely been some issues. Detroit was overcoming bad goaltending. Like Billy Russo wasn't playing well, but they still were winning. Now it's catching up to them, right? So has been some bad goaltending. There's been some great goaltending too. That's we can't always focus on the negative. Thatcher Demko's been great. Montreal somehow has had really good goaltending with a 3-goalie rotation. I don't know how they can keep that up, but it's a credit to them. But yeah, the Leafs without Joseph Woll now, Ilya Samsonov. I mean, it wasn't even a bad game for Toronto. When you look at it, they had some mistakes, but they could have won that game easily, like 4-3, 5-4, right? Like if you get good goaltending, you don't get out of there with this disappointment. Maybe it's a 4-4 overtime where you lose it overtime or a shootout or something, but definitely was not good between the pipes. And I'm not going to blame Martin Jones. Listen, I know that your job is to go in and stop the puck, but I've been in that situation, and you go into a game where your team is getting pumped, and you go in, the first shot you see is a goal. It's not easy to overcome and to recover. So Martin Jones is, the least of my words right now. It's much more on Samsonov.
Marty, let's stick with Samsonov. Where do you think the Leafs should go with him? I mean, we've been talking about it pretty much all the first 2 hours of the show. I don't know if you could put him back in the net in the next week or so. Like, is it better maybe that you see if they can get him to the AHL for a couple games because he's flat out come out and said that, it's not even the technical aspect. He's struggling between the ears. So if you're Curtis Sanford in that goaltending department group, like where are you at with him, or what do you think? Where do you think they start with him?
Well, I think I wouldn't send him to the AHL. If he goes down there and he performs badly, like think of Jack Campbell in Edmonton, you can never call the guy back up, right? You're thinking this is over, and now we're totally screwed, and it's still costing you under the cap and everything. Now, I look at Ilya Samsonov, and one thing that I think of is that his body just collapses often. Like even the Owen Power goal, right, to make it 2-2, I believe it was. Like the pass from Benson is back towards Middlestat. Middlestat's already behind the net. It gets deflected back to Power. But Samsonov, once his body says, I can't go anymore, it just collapses. He has zero body control. And I don't think that's going to change. I said last year, with a guy like Samsonov, yes, he can be athletic. He's a battler. He fights for every puck, whatever. But there's no body control. And that takes time to build up, right? And it's building up through core strength, the flexibility. Like, look at, the ones that can do it the best, like the Vasilevsky and Shesterkin and Demko and Ottinger and Johnson Quick, even at a later stage in his career. There's body control there, but Samsonov has zero body control, and now he can't even stop the pucks that are being, like, muffled over to him, right? Like the Thompson goal that got him pulled, it hits his glove, underneath his glove. There was once or twice before that I noticed that he was having a hard time, like, even focusing on the puck and catching the puck. So, I mean, if he goes to the AHL, I think it's not going to go well. You almost got to give him a break, just have him practice, and hope that the next time he plays, you can give him some support, because if not, it's going to go nowhere.
Marty, do you think the Washington Capitals feel a little vindication here, considering the way the seasons have gone for Samsonov and Vanecek? Like, going into last season, they cut ties with both those guys. Both those guys did well with their respective teams, but now those are two guys of, teams that have had issues with goaltending. Samsonov here in Toronto, and we just talked about New Jersey with Vanecek. It hasn't been a great year for him either. Washington probably took some heat considering the way things went last year. You think they kind of... They played their cards right, cutting ties with both those guys?
Well, I don't know that they would do the Darcy Kemper thing over again. I like Darcy Kemper, but it's like they gave him a lot of money. They said he's the guy we're going after. And really, what has saved their season this year? And because they're at where they're at right now because of Charlie Lindgren. Like, early in the season, Charlie Lindgren was goalieing teams. Like, he was standing on his head. And it allowed for Washington to get some traction. And now Darcy Kemper has been better of late. But if it hadn't been for Charlie Lindgren to play the way that he was playing, you're going to run out Darcy Kemper out there, and he was struggling. And so he was able to have a reset. That's kind of like what you need for Samsonov. And there's other goalies out there. Like, if Stuart Skinner would have had a chance to have a bit of a reset, if Jack Campbell would have performed well, or if Calvin Pickard would have come in and played more games, maybe it would have allowed Skinner to get back to his game a little bit faster. I'm not saying he's on top of his game right now, but sometimes you need help. Washington got help from Charlie Lindgren, and that allowed Darcy Kemper to kind of hit pause a little bit and reset.
With Martin Biron, our TSN Hockey analyst, it's. I know you're down in Buffalo a lot. I think you're down in New York right now, but you're tracking what's going on up here in Canada, and there's a lot of focus on Ottawa, Edmonton, because of the way they've started their seasons, the expectations, the coaches being fired. But the other end of the spectrum is Vancouver, who, with a point last night, they have reached the top of the summit. Like, they're first place in the NHL based on points. And it's been an incredible story. A lot of it, I'm sure, is Demko related, but their stars are playing well. Tocchet's pushing the right buttons. Are you a believer that this is more than just the first 2 months of the season being hot? Like, do you think it's sustainable in Vancouver, and can they be serious players come playoff time?
Yeah, I believe in the Canucks. Look, their plus-minus goal differential is 40-something right now. I mean, it's up to the league, I believe in. They're rolling, right? And yes, Thatcher Demko is definitely a big reason for that. Look back to 2 years ago, when Bruce Boudreau came in and he kept talking about it. Man, Thatcher Demko, he's so good, and he ran out of words to describe Thatcher Demko. Then last year, Demko was injured and didn't get into a rhythm, right? And so this year, it makes a big difference. But Casey DeSmith has not played badly either. So you look at the way that the team's played, even in front of Casey DeSmith, you're like, okay, well, this team is not just a one-trick pony. Brock Besser is scoring goals. Quinn Hughes is playing out of his mind. Elias Pettersson, he just finds a way to create on his own, often with his speed and agility and straightforward game. I'm a believer. And really, when you look at Rick Tocchet, I used to watch him on TNT all the time, and he talked about defensive zone structure and adjustment and, defending hard. And you're starting to see, now it's going to take still some time for the Vancouver Canucks to really get on board, but you're starting to see how, his teachings and his approach is working for Vancouver. So I think they may even make some moves at the deadline, just get some more depth. And they'll definitely be a team that I can see go far in the playoffs.
Marty, with Connor McDavid rolling through the New York area this weekend, which goaltender duo between the Islanders and the Rangers would you be going with given the choice? Like each one of those teams has a stud and then an older guy in Jonathan Quick and Varlamov, but Sorokin and Shesterkin, like those are every year two of the top guys. Like which duo would you go with if you were given the choice?
I like the Rangers duo. And look, I had no disrespect to Sorokin and Varley, but in the Islanders, they've been fantastic over the last few years. But I think Shesterkin is the better of the four goalies. And look at how Jonathan Quick has played this year. And Jonathan Quick did, and I experienced that myself when I came to New York as an older backup to Henrik Lundqvist. Is you get with Benny Allaire, the goalie coach, the goalie guru in New York, and he looks at you and he says, We're gonna straighten you out a little bit. Like it's been a little all over the place lately. We're gonna straighten you out. I'm still gonna focus, my attention to your game and the way you play, but let's add some structure. And Jonathan Quick is still very athletic and very spectacular, but there's more structure there. And I really feel that it's really helped Shesterkin and the Rangers. When Shesterkin was out, Jonathan Quick was great. When Adam Fox was out, Jonathan Quick was great. Like it's really helped. So I'm going with Shesterkin and Jonathan Quick, and probably also because my time with the New York Rangers was a lot better than my time with the Islanders.
Yeah, you're biased there. You've got a grievance, is basically what you're telling us, Marty.
It's Festivus, right?
Yeah,
that's why we're doing all of that.
Exactly, but it's such a luxury in the league to have and even like Shesterkin's numbers have dipped this year, like last year a little bit compared to what he had a couple of years ago. But if you got that rock star in net, man, you just sleep so easy at night. Like it changes the whole complexion of how you operate, right? Like if you're the GM, if you're the coach, your stud players, like if you know you got a guy back there that even if you have an off night, he can steal a game for you, if not multiple games. It's a completely different mentality, a completely different vibe, I would guess around the facility all the time.
Yeah, well, look at the I don't want to call it dynasties, but the way the Kings won cups in the 2010 during that decade, the Chicago Blackhawks with Corey Crawford. I mean, Crawford was an underappreciated goaltender in my opinion, but man, was he like very consistent, and he was a stable force for the Blackhawks, for them to be able to win a couple more cups, right? The first one was with Antti Niemi, and you're going to say, okay, 2010 was one thing, but then after that, the Chicago Blackhawks had that stability in net, and teams all look for stability in net. But in my opinion, you've got to develop that stability in net, right? Shesterkin was developed through the Rangers program and process, and that's what you got to do. Vasilevsky was developed through the Tampa Bay Lightning program process, AHL to NHL. You look around the league, to me, that's what you have to do. You have to develop the goaltenders. Trading for a goalie or acquiring a goalie via free agency, it can work, but it's not the recipe for success. So the teams that are behind, the teams that are not looking 4 or 5 years down the road right now, they're not going to get there. I can tell you right now, the teams that are not looking 4 or 5 years down the road are not going to get there. It needs to be a priority, and a lot of teams don't see it as a priority.
Marty, we were talking about 5 or 6 teams right now that guaranteed are looking for an upgrade in net. Is there somebody off the top of your head that we're not focusing on in the league that maybe either is in play or could be in play for the right package? And again, it's the Edmontons, it's the Carolinas. Who else are we looking at? The
New Jersey, possibly.
New Jersey. Yeah. All of the teams that even the Leafs, if they're looking.
Maybe LA if they feel they need depth.
Yeah, LA. So is there somebody that, I like Mackenzie Blackwood, San Jose, I think, would part with him. Is there somebody that you would circle that either could help out or would be an upgrade on what some of these teams have or in a tandem situation?
Well, I look at Jake Allen with the Montreal Canadiens, right? I know he has a 7-team no-trade list, so I don't know if he and his agent were smart in the offseason and said, okay, what are the teams that are going to need goalies? We're going to put our list together and put those names on. I don't want to be traded, right? So if you looked around before the season, you probably could arrive at the same, kind of place as the teams that need goalies right now. But Jake Allen, he's played well. In a 3-goalie rotation, Montreal, he's played really well, and he has one more year left. So it's not like you're just renting a guy. You can have a guy for one more year. So I would look in Jake Allen's direction. And to me, the guys, I am completely baffled, puzzled, whatever. Jeremy Swayman was sitting there this summer as a restricted free agent, and anybody could have oversheeted Jeremy Swayman. And the Boston Bruins were stuck, right, with their salary cap, and they already had Linus Ullmark, and come on, teams slept on Jeremy Swayman, and he's probably the better option now in Boston. So maybe you want to call Boston and say, okay, which one? I'm going to make you a deal. But I would think that would be a sleeper team for me. If Boston is looking to add, because they're still really good, but maybe they could trade Ullmark or Swayman. I doubt that they would go with Swayman, but maybe they can move Ullmark. He won his Vezina last year. He's reached his peak, right? So maybe you can sell now.
Well, Marty, there's obviously the trade freeze right now, but who knows what comes of it once we get out of it. And we got a lot of hockey still to be played. Congrats on your Sabres getting a big one last night. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, buddy. We'll do it again soon. Thank you for this.
Yeah. Best sign I saw at the building last night was when people were leaving. Somebody had a sign that says, please remember to declare your L at the custom. And I thought that was pretty clever. So it's not to rub it in, but it's when I see a clever sign, I'd like to point it out.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'll give you that. That's pretty good. That's not bad. All right, Marty. Thank you, buddy.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Marty Biron. Yeah, declare your L at the customs. I mean, it's kind of a bit of a kind of shot at yourself because you're admitting, you're making signs understanding there's so many Leaf fans that are taking over your building. You have fans that were selling tickets. Basically, we're out. We're not coming to see our team. Yeah. So in a way,
money.
Yeah, exactly. I don't blame them for that. But that's pretty good, actually. Declare your L at the border. That's not bad.
That's good.
I'll give him credit for that.
You just got to wait till the end of the game.
I was just going to say, do you make that sign premature, or are you drawing that up when it's 6-3 type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's a loser move if you bring cardboard and a pen, you don't fill it out until the game's over. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, listen.
I've never been a sign guy, so I can't speak for the sign people. Mm-hmm. I've never made a sign, or
they walk among us. Those sign people
taken a piece of cardboard and drawn on it and walked around.
They're with the face painters, the sign people and the face painters.
They're out there.
Done that.
They're out there. They're walking around. Yeah. All right, Boxing Day is starting early at Golf Town with up to 50% off store-wide savings on now in-store and online at golftown.com. Here's your chance to win a $500 Golf Town gift card. Here we go. Now we're talking. Caller 10 right now at 416-870-1050. 416-870-1050. Caller 10 right now will win the prize. Save early on holiday gifts from top brands like TaylorMade, Nike, Titleist, Cobra, Adidas, Garmin, and more. Visit golftown.com for more details. Very charitable, right? We're in the spirit of things here, man. It's almost Christmas. The holiday season is here. 416-870-1050. Caller 10, your chance to win a $500 Golf Town gift card. I love it.
Yeah.
Golf is certainly on hiatus right now in terms of being played, but PGA Tour in a week, I love when they get to Hawaii. Kapalua is the coolest course on tour. And they're in Hawaii for a couple of weeks, and then they're going to hit California. Before you know it, we're going to be into Torrey Pines and Pebble and waste management.
You see our boy Adam Hadwin got some mail recently?
I saw that. He's going to Augusta, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, he got the invite. I love it. Shout out to Adam Hadwin. That's great.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, so it's gonna be cooking here at some point in terms of the golf tour. All right, our best bets brought to you by FanDuel. Later in the hour, we're gonna get Al's brother in here as well. Al's brother's in the Christmas spirit. We'll let him explain why. We'll do that next.
And you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not bow out.
All right, we've got Al's brother in studio. It'd be great to have you in a Santa suit for this segment.
Could you imagine?
Awesome.
I can't imagine. That's why I want it to happen so badly. But maybe next year if you're willing to play that role.
Potentially. We'll see.
Okay,
got a whole year to think on
We
it.
got a whole year here, but we were getting creative earlier today. We're like, what can we do here that can kind of spin the holiday season into one of our bits that we generally do? And I think we've come to conclusions here, right? We've got a conclusion on what we want to do.
Yes.
You want to explain to the people how we're going to play this out?
Yeah, so essentially we figured, okay, let's think about some characters around that you think about during the holiday season. So we've got, Santa Claus is clearly the main guy out there.
Yep.
Then you've got Scrooge, you've got Frosty, you've got a bunch of different characters. What we're going to do is almost like a match game, guys, where I'm going to give you this character and you're going to say, okay, which player or team matches the persona of what this character represents?
I love it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, very simple stuff. I like this. Do you want to take us through all this, House Brother? Do you want to?
Yeah.
What do you want to start with? Do you have anyone in mind?
You know what? I want to start things off with Noodles. You ready
Okay.
to go, Noodles?
Noodles.
Yes, let's
There we
rock.
go.
All right, so I'm going to give you Ebenezer Scrooge, okay? So is there a team or a player who went through some sort of transformation from bad to good?
Ooh, I like it. I like it a lot. I got one in mind right off the bat. Go ahead, Noodles.
From bad to good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I know the reason why, and we all know the reason why. It's Brock Besser.
Beautiful.
Oh,
Love that
excellent.
pick.
Now, Brock Besser, obviously, his father passing away, him having, the off-ice struggles because of that. He wasn't at his best, and he's having an amazing season this year. So that's my – is that kind of –
I think that's
Yeah,
precisely
it's a great
what
pick.
Perfect.
Besser was
Okay.
a guy. I was thinking the Flyers were a team that had a Scrooge vibe to them. They were awful last year. I expected them to be awful this year. And they have seen the light, man. They have transformed.
play hard, man.
They do. I mean, I got to give credit to John Tortorella. The guy can drive me crazy at times with some of the antics, the way he approaches the media. But what he is a testament to is that any coach making an excuse, like, can't get him to do it, can't get him to play that way. Torts is like, I can.
Yeah.
Give me some time. I'm going to bench a guy. I'm going to call a guy out. I'm going to snap. And then eventually guys are going to say, all right, it's his way or the highway. It really is like any coach that cannot get it done. Just look at Tortorella in Philly right now.
But you played for him, didn't you,
agree.
Frankie?
Well, I was just going to say, I feel Torts is at the point now where he doesn't have to yell and scream as much as he did in the past. He almost kind of looks at it, and he'll look at you and say, you're just not going to go on. It's up to you. You tell me what you want to do.
Yeah, I love that. I really have an
Right?
appreciation for how successful it's been in Philly this year. It's been really cool.
All right,
All right,
Hazy
AB.
B. You
Yes.
want the next one here?
Yes.
All right. We're going to go with the Grinch, okay? So who's a team or a player who is an absolute terror to the league?
Well, I mean, Tom Wilson is a guy that comes to mind immediately when we're talking about
Yes.
just terrifying people and beating the hell out of people. But I think the Grinch, he's a guy, I'm trying to describe the Grinch here, because his heart does grow 3 sizes larger as the movie goes on.
It does.
I'm sure you're familiar with that. But I think it's got to be a guy like Trouba or a guy like Tom Wilson. Like, you talk about someone that's just going to steal your Christmas, put you in a bad place, step in with a bad attitude, is always owly.
I think that's Trouba.
Yeah, I think I'll go with
Yeah.
Trouba. Like, Trouba's just like, you look at the Oilers are in New York tonight. Like, if he can get McDavid, he'll get him.
Oh, 100%.
Like, he will Grinch McDavid tonight. Like, he is not saying, you're McDavid, I'll let you go. If he comes across the middle and he's got a chance to lay a lick on him, he will play the role of the Grinch. Yeah. So, I like that. I will go with Jacob Trouba on that.
Undercover guy there could be Nathan McKinnon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's coming to steal your lunch money. He's coming to steal your presents, and he
he's
gets ornery
angry.
very quickly.
Always has an attitude on him.
Yeah.
He might be coming to steal that Hart Trophy.
That's a
He
good
might
one.
be stealing that Hart Trophy. I mean, I texted you this last night, Noodles. Nathan McKinnon has quietly been putting himself into that conversation. He made a statement last night and said, you guys better start talking about me and the MVP.
It's crazy enough, though. Like, I don't think it should have been quiet. Like, we just haven't been paying attention that much, like this guy, when I was doing my game notes, I'm like, God, he's got 48 points. He's second in the league. Like, leads
the NHL at 5-on-5 too.
Yeah, it's
And
insane.
he buried Jeff Skinner the other day too. Oof.
Yeah.
He's second in points with 53 points. Kucherov with 57. So, yeah, you're right. It should not be quiet. It should not. But it certainly isn't anymore after a 4-pack of goals last night for Nathan McKinnon. All right, AB, what else you got?
All right, we're going to go to Frankie Claus on this one. Frankie Claus out there. I got one for you. You're actually going to be playing the role of Santa Claus in this one, Frankie.
Okay.
What's something that you want to gift one of the teams in the 7 Canadian hockey teams? Like, what do they need? What does somebody need?
Well, I mean, there's a lot that the Toronto Maple Leafs might need, El's brother.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems obvious, and since we're in Toronto, let's go there. Santa Claus would like to gift the Toronto Maple Leafs a top 4 defenseman and another defenseman as a complementary piece. I think that would go very far with this team. It's something they needed to start the season. Now that there's been injuries, that has been magnified even more. And with the goaltender situation where you have Samsonov, you don't know what you're going to get if he's going to see the net anymore. You're relying on Martin Jones. Joseph Woll's not coming back for the foreseeable future. A little bolstering of the blue line might be what the Leafs ordered from Santa Claus.
I like that idea. So a big gift and a little stocking stuffer. Is that what you're suggesting from the big man? I like that idea.
I'm curious if you guys think that Chris Tanev, is still going to be available? Because Calgary's starting to win some games.
Like, are they going to keep him, you mean?
Yeah, like
if this
like I understand he's, it's a contract year for him and he may not want to re-up, but if they're in a spot where they can compete, maybe they just hold on to everybody.
Well, I don't think they're going to hold.
I think
put it
it's
this
silly
way,
to do that.
Craig Conroy's comments are saying we're not going to get caught with the Johnny Gaudreau situation. So that's Hanifin and that's Lindholm, and I believe is Tanev's deal up too?
Yeah, Tanev is too, yeah.
So they've got to sort out. Now, again, maybe they sign the 3 and continue on, but I would argue I don't know if you're going to sign all 3. Maybe it's 2 of the 3 or maybe it's 1 of the 3. So, if you're looking at that situation, those are 3 players I would circle and say, potentially available or off the market with extensions.
Yeah.
It also could be like the Nashville thing last year. Remember, Nashville moved on from a bunch of guys, and then some young guys came in, and they played really well to finish the season.
Now
Nashville, they're in the first wild card spot in the West.
Right. You get that exactly. You get the experience. Like I would guess at this point, Calgary's going to trade. I think they should trade. I think even if you backdoor in, what is that going to do for you? You got a new GM, a new coach. They have time to build this up and try to make it work. But Santa, you mentioned Toronto. I would say in Edmonton, they're probably like, if you have a goalie available for us,
Can we get a save?
that would be
save or
great.
two?
Have the Elves been working on a goalie with like 912 save percentage? Because we would happily accept
They'll take
that.
908, I think.
I think
honestly,
they take anything right now.
You got to take something that to help out Skinner, like at least like a guy that is reliable that can take half the minutes off. And you know what? We say 908, I'd have to check. But somebody will be able to tell us, what is the league average for save percentage right now?
It's dropping.
I would argue,
It's like 904, 903.
I was just going to say, I would argue it's just around 900. That's what you're looking for from goaltenders right now, 9 of 10.
Yeah, I saw it a week or two ago where, like, at this point in the season, it had dropped substantially. Where there was a time not long ago it was like 918, 917, and then it was 912, and now it's like 903, 904 is just average.
Yeah.
So you do have to kind of recalibrate how you feel about guys. Where that's why Joseph Woll was like a 917 or 918. He was playing really, really well.
Oh yeah,
like really, really well.
Yeah.
Okay, Ellis brother. What else do we have here?
Well, let's go back to the captain, Hazy B, Partsy.
Yes.
Clark
Partsy.
Griswold. We're going to go with Clark Griswold.
Okay.
So a team or a player where things seem to be just going from bad to worse, and it's just absolutely miserable.
Yeah, Clark Griswold, of course, from Christmas Vacation, where by the end of the movie, he just is ready to sucker people. Like, the lights won't work. He doesn't get the bonus. The in-laws are there. They're driving him nuts. There's a squirrel in the tree. You got to see the movie to get all these references. But a couple different people come to mind. In the hockey world, I don't want to keep picking on this one guy, but I'm going to say Brady Tkachuk. Like Brady Tkachuk and the Ottawa Senators. Brady is Clark Griswold right now. He's young. He probably wouldn't even understand this reference, but he's snapping. He's fighting every game. Last night after the game, he fell on the sword. Nothing is going his way. Like in Ottawa, this was supposed to be it. His brother was in a cup final last year. He's the captain of a Canadian team. All his buddies are signed. This is his crew. And the GM's gone. The coach is gone. All they do is lose games. They blow leads. He is Clark Griswold on the ice. I mean, Noodles, you've seen it up close and personal. Like he's fighting every single game, or it seems like it.
He's trying, man.
Yeah.
He's trying to will that team into something. The problem is they don't have enough guys with that same kind of attitude around him.
Well, exactly. They need a couple of loose screws, or he like. I don't think he needs to fight every single night too. Like at some point, maybe he just needs to cool it and kind of relax a little bit.
You know what it is that. They play like world beaters one period, and then they fall off a cliff, and they can't recover. They're a fragile group.
Yeah,
I think they'll get out of it, but it's unfortunate because it's too late. You're chasing the standings, but they're better than they've shown, but it doesn't matter. Standings,
right?
You are who you are. Right?
Yeah, and you have been who you've been for a long time. You think Bill Belichick could qualify as a Clark Griswold? Like is Bill?
Oh, 100%. This year?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
like
Billy Belichick is really, everything's going against him.
What about Patrick Kane?
Ooh.
They lost again last night.
It hasn't gone well for Detroit.
Yeah,
and I know it's coinciding with his arrival there, but they're down 2 goalies. I think they were overachieving at the start of the year. They were probably due for a correction, but like Patrick Kane has arrived there and nothing's gone well for Detroit.
Not good. Not good. All right, AB, you got a couple more for us?
I do. Let's throw this one back out to, let's go to Noodles. Noodles for this one. We're looking at Frosty the Snowman. Someone who comes to life through the winter months and then disappears in the spring.
Oh, stop it. That's
Come on,
easy.
Frosty, who do you have?
Too easy. I can't do that.
Don't say it, man.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Don't say this team. Don't do it,
I'm not taking
man.
it there. It's just too easy.
Okay.
Man, oh man. All right, then give me some. Help me out with this one, guys. Then because I'm not going to go
it's not
with
the Leafs. You're not going to say the Leafs.
I'm not going to say the Leafs. So
individual players. Okay. What about teams that have? That's a good question.
Well, I got one for you.
Yeah.
So every year we talk about the Carolina Hurricanes being Stanley Cup contenders. They hit a plateau every year in the playoffs. It's just a little further along. So I think you get the benefit of the doubt that way. But man, they've been hitting that threshold and not getting through it for a long time.
That's valid.
I've got one too, but they suck me in every year.
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg. That's who it is.
That's exactly who it is.
And you look at them; they're playing. I mean, this Velarde is settled in.
Great.
Like Ehlers is healthy. Like the goalie's doing the goalie thing, and like they're a hell of a team.
But they were,
and they suck me in year in, year out, and I'm watching them, and they just continue to win. They continue to build. Like until they prove it to me, that's my pick.
Winnipeg's a good
that's
one.
a
Good
perfect one, honestly, because even this time last year, I'm pretty sure they were number one in the Pacific,
number one.
and then in the Central, and all of a sudden they puked it away. Didn't even make the play. Like, it was.
Yeah.
They made the
disgusting.
playoffs, but they got swept, didn't they?
Yeah, they got smoked by
they
Vegas.
limped in.
Yeah, there could be like an off-season thing there with like the Jays or baseball teams that make so many different, moves in the off-season. Then you actually have to start playing ball, and it goes awry. But NHL, I think the Jets. I mean, the Leafs are one that probably come up from time to time.
Yeah, that's the low-hanging
They could
fruit.
possibly apply as Frosty the Snowman.
We got one more.
All right, go ahead. Yeah, you got one more here.
Buddy the Elf, AZB. Buddy the Elf. Who's a team in the NHL that we all thought was delusional about their situation this season, but turned out to be right in the end?
Wow, that is a good one. I guess.
one.
Yeah, I guess Vancouver would have to be.
That's it.
Vancouver's got to be it, right?
Vancouver's it. Yeah.
Where it's like, we're not trading JT Miller. We're not going to do this. We believe in our guys. Rick Tockett's going to make things happen, and it's paid off.
Yeah,
like to their credit. Like I was going to say the Flyers, but the Flyers were wrong. Like they thought they'd be bad, I think, and they were preparing for some pain. And it's just kind of surprised them. Where I think Vancouver was exuding some confidence that at the time felt very Buddy the Elf-ish, but in the end, it is clearly paid off.
Yeah, that's my team.
That's a good one.
Could Boston slide in there, or
Yes.
Montreal? Maybe Montreal even. Montreal hasn't gone away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
No, you're right.
Those two teams, like Boston, we were like, okay, at some point here, they're going to have their regression. No Bergeron, no Krejci, and they're just doing it
Keep
again.
plugging along.
How about a team that's worse? How about a team that's worse than they thought?
Yes,
Pittsburgh Penguins.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a very good one.
Right? Like I think and myself included in this, thought quick turnaround there.
Mm-hmm.
Down year, they'll be back in the playoffs. Hasn't gone well for them. Like now, that being said, they're 2 games above 500, so they are still in the mix. But I don't know. You watch them play, you're like that. As Jim Taddy would say, it's got an odd look.
It does have an odd look. That's a good one. Like the reverse might be Seattle. It's like last year made you think you're further ahead than you really are.
Yeah.
Like it was a good
Yeah,
year.
that's
Everything broke your way, but just relax. Just
Take it
relax,
easy.
buddy.
Yeah.
All right, Alice, brother. Good stuff. I like that. Next year we get you in here in a Santa suit.
Santa suit?
Yeah.
I might be able to work that.
I don't see why not. I feel good about our picks, Alice, brother. You and I, every break, we're talking. We're like trying to talk ourselves back into the picks we made.
We are. It's like, yeah, well, this could happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, actually, no. Yeah, I think I still like that pick.
That is a red flag if I've ever seen one. The fact that you guys are still talking yourself into picks that happened
Well,
over an hour ago.
We laid some
2
big
hours
numbers.
ago.
We laid some big numbers.
We're not the only ones, though. Those guys are
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
the same thing. Luke's going to flip back and forth
Yeah.
between this Dallas and Miami game. Like, he came out and said, you guys took Dallas? Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
In his head, he knows that was the right pick.
Yes, exactly. And now he's blaming Rod Smith.
Yeah.
Like it's such a between him and O.
I
It's
feel
just
bad. They've made Rod the patsy.
yeah,
That's
exactly, exactly. Like there's probably I'm trying to think of a Christmas character that can represent how gutless Team Owen Wilson is. We'll come up with it, but
I don't know.
it's not a good scene because they're dragging Rod into it, and that's totally uncalled for.
You know who they are? Harry and Marv.
Yes, Harry and
and
Marv.
Marv.
They're bandits, and they get caught in the end. Mm-hmm. Right? They're cocky. They get carried away. They're goofballs, and in the end, we're Kevin McAllister.
That's right.
And the old guy across the street. I like it.
Too bad.
All right, we'll come back with our best bets brought to you by FanDuel. Look ahead to a busy weekend. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Going with the Hazenbro picks here. Laying the points, Buffalo in L.A., 12.5. I'm going to take Dallas money line. So they are a dog, but I'll say Dallas outright. And then I'm on the Niners, minus 5.5, Monday night, Christmas night, at home against Baltimore. What a day of football. Like that, that one, you got basketball, obviously. The NBA's got to be so mad.
Yeah.
Just so angry.
rattled.
Like
There's going to be some dents in some couches around North America.
yeah, you got to put your work in the morning, and then the old, all right, let's everyone just go relax.
Yeah.
Everyone's having a good time.
The extra stretchy sweatpants
Yes.
will make an appearance this weekend.
Absolutely. So those are your best bets powered by FanDuel. Same-game parlays this NFL season now include passing touchdowns and receptions on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly, 18+ and physically located in Ontario. All right. Well, boys, we got a big
one.
yeah. It's been a fun one today. We got the Leafs in Columbus tomorrow. You got the Raptors playing, and see Detroit. The Pistons lost again last night, 25 in a row.
I did see that.
Yikes.
Yeah, they were favored, I believe, but they lost by 6 or 7. Kate Cunningham's basically crying walking off the court.
How could they possibly be favorites on any night?
I didn't understand. I get it. Utah had basically their whole starting lineup out, and
Yeah.
they still lost. And like they won their first 2 games of the season, which is amazing. Is they were 2-0, and I'll bet you they were thinking, "Here we go, Monty Williams. We're healthy. What a season we're going to have. We're back, 25 in a row."
Yeah,
And
not so fast.
the Raptors are in Philly playing the Sixers tonight. Nick Nurse, talk about Coach of the Year type stuff. He's doing it, man. Like Embiid looks like a lock MVP. He's been unreal. But what Nurse is doing, he's like, I'm playing Embiid a ton. I'm playing Maxey a ton. I'm going to find 4 or 5 other guys, and that's what I'm doing. And up here,
That's what he does.
That's what he does, and he does it successfully. And up here, Darko's like, nah, same rotation. Going to play 10 guys. Everyone's happy.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
But no
nonsense.
pizza party. Everyone's happy, but no pizza party, Hayes.
Yeah, I know. It's not a
So
good scene
weird.
for the Raps. But they're in Philly tonight. And again, the Leafs are in Columbus tomorrow. Then you got NFL all weekend, NBA all weekend.
Christmas.
You got Christmas, of course. Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy holidays to everyone. And I'm going to be off next week. I don't know what your plan is, Noodles, but
I'm
taking some time
I'm
off.
calling a couple games. No, I'm not taking. I'm
You'll
on
be
the
kicking
show.
around.
I'm kicking around. I'm always on the show when I'm not calling games. So I'd call 2, I think, 27th or 29th or 29th or something like that.
All right.
I'm on the show.
Well, the show will continue next week, as it always
Exactly.
does. But I'll be back in the new year. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes. We appreciate all the help, as always. Thanks to everyone for tuning in today, radio, TV, podcast, web. We appreciate that as well. Frankie, good seeing you, buddy.
Yeah, you too, as always.
There's Frankie Corrado, Jamie Noodles McLennan. I'm Bryan Hayes. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy your weekends. Enjoy your holidays. We're back Tuesday at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.